Hello! Hey guys, and welcome to my Warlock review from the Warlock cards that have been revealed from Journey to Ungoro. And yeah, Warlock has got some interesting stuff, some discardy things, and yeah, I love discard synergies. So the Warlock quest is Lakari Sacrifice. Quest, discard 6 cards. Reward, Nether Portal. And Nether Portal is a 5-mana spell that opens a permanent portal that summons 3/2 imps. So that portal can't be touched. It takes up a slot on your board and cannot be interacted with in any way. It always stays there. So you're getting, after you complete the quest, you're getting 2 3/2 imps every single turn. Which, the longer the game goes on, the more insane that becomes. But, to complete the quest, you have to discard 6 cards. So you need to be playing some discard synergies in your deck. You can't just be, you can't just play a control Warlock and survive forever summoning 3/2 imps. Because generally that's what this quest you want to do, right? With this quest, the longer the game goes on, the more value you get out of this quest. Out of this portal. So, generally this portal wants games to go long because you want to just get infinite imps forever and just outvalue your opponent with the imps. But in a discard deck, generally discard decks have been very aggressive, and it's kind of the opposite of what this is trying to do. But let's go through the cards and see what we think. So the first one is a Lakari Fellhound, 4-mana 3/8 Taunt Demon, Battlecry, discard 2 random cards. So, this has synergy with the quest, and it's defensive, so this would fit in with the strategy of surviving and getting long value. So this would be a perfect card to play if you're trying to complete the quest. And it's a very good card. A 4-mana 3/8 Taunt is great. It's also a demon, so it also has demon synergy. But you obviously want to discard like Silverware Golem. And there's also a new card you're going to want to discard. We'll come on to that in a minute. But I think this card's very good. I think this card is very good. I think Malkazar's Imp is going to be one of the most important. If you're trying to make a discard Warlock, Malkazar's Imp is going to be extremely important for like keeping that card draw open or keeping that card draw going. So when you discard cards, you just draw more. So yeah, I think this card's great. It's not very zooey. It seems like it would fit a lot more in a mid-range discard Warlock rather than an aggro discard zoo kind of thing. Yeah, so this is kind of leaning towards more what the quest's trying to do rather than an aggro deck. But maybe it's just the stat. Maybe 8 health on turn 4 is just so good that maybe you would even play this in a more aggro deck. Ravenous Pterodax. 4-mana 4/4 Beast. Battlecry, destroy a friendly minion to adapt twice. So, adapting twice is very good. Bearing in mind you can get things like, well, you could just get +3 attack and +3 health. And it could be a 4-mana 7/7. And if you destroy a 1/1 to get a 4-mana 7/7 with no downside, then you're very happy with that. I mean, the only downside is destroying a 1/1, but that's just an example. Obviously, there's loads of combinations of stuff you can do, but I think this card is actually very, very powerful. And this would be... You would play this in a zoo-style deck, so this wouldn't fit in the mid-range discard-style Warlock deck. This would definitely be played in a zoo. So an aggro zoo that has lots of tokens, loads of 1/1s, and this would be great. Like, fantastic in that style of deck. And I'm definitely going to try... I think zoo could actually be good. Like, Zoo could make a comeback. Yeah, and this card would be insane, innit? I mean, we are losing Power of Overwhelming, which is a big deal for Zoo. But I think this card is... It's just so good. I mean, you also have the... There's a new egg, right? The 0/3 egg that summons a 5/5, that's 3 mana. If you use this on the egg, that's the most insane thing ever. So you play the egg on turn 3, have a slow turn, but then on turn 4, you get the 5/5 out of nowhere, and then get to adapt this twice. Like you get a 5/5 and a 7/7, or something like that. Like, it's absolutely insane. So in Zoo, this could be nuts. This could actually be nuts. And these cards are very good. Warlock, a 5-mana elemental with Taunt, has +3 attack during your opponent's turn, and it's a 1/7. So it's a 4/7 on your opponent's turn. So there are a few cards like this. I think there's 3 cards like this. There's Tar Lurker, Tar Creeper, and another one. It's actually a good card. Like a 4/7 Taunt for 5 mana is very good. Like Avian Watcher, if you could pull that off every time and consistently get a 4/7 Taunt, that'd be fantastic. This is basically the same thing, except you can't dictate the trades. I think that's the main downside of these minions that have more attack on your opponent's turn, is that they get to dictate all the trades. Although they have to trade in something big, like, it's basically the best anti-aggro card, right? Because against aggro, this is insane, but against other mid-range decks, or against slow decks, this is pretty bad. Because it's not putting any pressure on your opponent whatsoever. It's purely a defensive tool. It is an elemental, so it could have some elemental synergies, but I don't think this card is... Okay, what I think about this card is that I think this card would be very good with the quest, actually. Even though the quest is like a discard lock, when you complete the quest, you want to be able to survive for lots of turns to get these demons over and over again. And this would be the kind of card that can help you survive for more turns. One of the issues with Warlock is they're losing Reno, so they're losing their main healing tool, and Warlock has pretty much no heal. So Warlock is doing damage to themselves and really struggling to get the health back. So unless you're playing a very aggressive Warlock deck, you need some big defensive cards. Tar Lurker can be one of those big defensive cards that can help you survive. Yeah. So it's like maybe in some kind of handlock style deck, there is a new 3-mana minion. It's a 3-mana 4/8 that can't attack, and that would actually be an insane card in a handlock style deck. So maybe this could fit into that style of deck, but the issue with that deck is it has very little heal, and you're going to be playing on the edge at all times. But maybe it could actually be a thing. Who knows? Corrupting Mist. 2 mana, corrupt every minion, destroy them at the start of your next turn. So as a big AoE, this is just bad because you're not clearing the board until... Well, you have to take a round of damage and then you clear the board. So it's not really helping you. Like you've already let them build a big board. You're taking a lot of damage. You use this, you take a lot more damage, and you just die. And then the board gets cleared. And it doesn't clear the things they're playing that turn either, so... This card, I think, could only be good in the early game. Like, if you play this on turn, like, maybe turn 3 or 4, and say your opponent's got slightly ahead on the board, they've played, like, 2 minions, or maybe even one minion. If they're playing, like, one biggish minion, you could use this on this and kill it next turn. The issue is that when you use it's the same as Corruption. When you use Corrupting Mist on a minion, they're going to want to kill that minion. They're going to want to trade that minion to your minions to get value out of it. So generally, you're going to be playing this in a deck where you're not having minions. So maybe this would make sense in a handlock style deck where you are. You're not really doing anything for the first few turns. I mean, the only issue is that generally you want to tap the first few turns. But you could, like... Your opponent does something the first 2 turns, and then you Corrupting Mist, and then you play your 3-mana 4/8 the next turn, and then you Argus it, or something like that. Like, maybe this could be played as, like, a one-of in some kind of slow Warlock, but I think Control Warlock is going to struggle, and I don't think this helps that much. Like, realistically, in a handlock-style deck, you would rather just play Shadow Flame. Okay. Cruel Dynamancer. 6 mana 5/5. Death Rattle. Summon a random minion you discarded this game. So it's pretty slow. It's instead of a Battle Cry, like the Face of Summon a Mage card, it's a Death Rattle. However, if you're playing a discard lock, which you would have to be playing for this card to be played, you'll be playing things like Doomguard. You'll be playing Lakari Fellhound. So there are some really big minions that you can get back from this. Like, if you get Lakari Fellhound or Doomguard back from Cruel Dynamancer, it's actually insane. It's actually insane. But you will also probably play small things like Malkazar's Imp, etc. So there are definitely some small things you could get back from this. It's kind of hard to judge because it's very swingy. There are some things that are insane and some things that are terrible, even in the deck that you're going to be playing with this with. I kind of feel like it's pretty good. Like, in all honesty, I do feel like this card's pretty good. It's just slow. The issue is that it's slow, and how. Like, I think you're going to be fairly consistently going to be able to get good value for your 6 mana, but it's just. It might just be too slow. Like, Warlock is probably just going to die too quickly. that is my issue. I mean, unless you get taunt from it. If you get taunt from it, it's fantastic. Okay, anyway, Feeding Time. 5 mana, deal 3 damage to a minion, summon 3 1/1 Pterodactyls. So it's like an implosion that costs 1 more mana and you always roll 3. If Implosion was 4 mana and you were to always roll 3, I think it would be played without a doubt. I think it would be great. So it's 1 extra mana for your Implosion. So it's not like... The question is what deck you're going to play this in. Like, Implosion, you play it in Zoo. But this, it's not as aggressive, so you can't really play it in Zoo. On turn 5, you want to be playing Doomguard. So you would be playing this in a slower list, a more mid-rangey list. Yeah. I don't think it's... Like, it's kind of similar to Bane of Doom, right? And Bane of Doom has never really seen that much play. I do think it could see play, but it has no potential to go face, and it's doing 3 damage and summoning 3 1/1s. It's nothing insane. I think it's probably not going to see any play. I actually think, to be honest, Warlock is going to be in the worst spot of all the classes. Warlock is going to be very... I definitely think Zoo can be still be a thing. Like, Zoo could definitely still be a thing, but other than Zoo, I think Warlock could be in a sticky spot. Blood Bloom, 2 mana, the next spell you cast this turn costs health instead of mana. So, this is great for tempo. You're going to be killing yourself pretty quickly, but if you play it with, like, Karakazam on turn 2, you can get a 3/3, a 2/2, and a 1/1. That's great. It's very good with Siphon Soul. I think that's the best card to use with Blood Bloom. I mean, obviously you could use it with things like Twisted Nether or with Doom, but you're going to be killing yourself very quickly. But Siphon Soul obviously has heal in the card, so you're playing 2 mana to play Siphon Soul and taking 6 damage, but then you're getting 3 back from that anyway. So you're only actually taking 3 damage, so there's definitely some good stuff you can do with this card. And if you were playing Blood Bloom, that might be the type of deck you're playing Feeding Time with to get some tempo. So if Feeding Time was going to see play, it probably would be with Blood Bloom. Yeah. Yeah. It's another card that could be in a mid-rangey Warlock with maybe Feeding Time and Siphon Souls, but I can't see that really being a thing. I mean, to be fair, if you're playing Nether Portal, you're probably going to want to play Siphon Soul. Like, even though you're playing Discard, you're going to need to survive, and Siphon Soul is a great card to help you survive, so... Maybe you, in this quest, you are trying to be more control-y and play lots of later game things, even with Discard. It's kind of weird to imagine, but I don't know. It's kind of hard. Okay, next card is Chittering Tunneler. 3 mana, 3/3 Beast. Battlecry, discover a spell, deal damage to your hero equal to its cost. So 3/3 discover a spell is great, but the downside is once again pretty huge. If you get something like a Soulfire or a cheap 2 mana spell, that's completely fine. You don't mind taking 1 or 2 damage. But the better spells in Warlock, things like Shadow Flame, Hellfire, Siphon Soul, like Nether, you can take a lot. You're just going to be killing yourself. You're really just going to be killing yourself. So I actually do think this card is pretty good because there are quite a few cheap spells that could be useful. But it's just like, what spell are you looking for? Like, what are you looking for from this, and why are you looking for it? If you're in a mid-range Warlock, what do you want, like a Shadow Bolt? Shadow Flame or Hellfire to play the turn after this? You're taking 4 damage to do it, and then you Hellfire and take 3 more damage. You're taking 7 damage. I just feel like with Chittering Tunneler and with Blood Bloom, generally you're just going to kill yourself so quickly. I just don't feel like there's enough heal in the game for you to survive. I mean, at the same time, there's going to be less burn in the game probably, because Ice Lance, Power of Worming, that kind of thing's being removed, so you can probably survive on low health a bit more often than you would have usually been able to. Which maybe could mean, once again, the hand lock could maybe be a thing, but yeah. Okay. 2-mana 2/2 Clutch with the Zavas. When you discard this, they give it 2/2 and return it to your hand, and it's a beast. So this is an insane card. Whenever you discard it to your hand, whenever you discard it, put it back in your hand and give it +2/+2. So this could have a similar effect of like an Edwin, where you can get basically just a cheap, high-statted minion very early on. Obviously, you're going to be wanting... This is another minion you want to discard. So along with Silverware Golem, this is a card you definitely want to discard. And could be really sick. Like, there's no way you're not playing this card in a discard deck. Like, even a 2-mana 2/2, it's not the end of the world. You discard it once, and it's a 2-mana 4/4, which is really, really good. So, yeah. Like, discarding this is just so good. Like, it's going to be... Like, Warlock is going to be very high-rolly. Or discard Warlock, anyway. To be honest, I think Zoo will just be better than Discard Lock. I think Zoo is just going to be more consistently solid. But Discard Lock can definitely is way more like high-rolly. Like, if you discard Silverware Golem or discard Clutch with the Zavas, then it's going to be very good. Yeah. Okay. Like, imagine you just play the Lakari Fellhound and discard a Silverware Golem, so you get a 3/8 Taunt and a 3/3, and Clutch with the Zavas, so you get a 2-mana 4/4. Like, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. But yeah. Generally, I think Warlock's kind of got fairly... Well, I mean, Warlock's main issue is literally just hard card health gain. Warlock's main issue is literally just health gain. They just have very little ways of surviving, so you're gonna need lots of taunts in Warlock, that's for sure. Unless you're smoking. But yeah. Thank you for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed my review. Feel free to leave a comment below, and see you next time.